Hey guys. Hello. Welcome. Let me move this over here. How you guys doing? Hi. Okay, so here's what I would love for you to do to kick this off. Please start by introducing yourself into the chat. Introduce yourself into the chat and tell me your name, the city you live in, and your profession. So tell me that into the chat. So for example, this is going fast. Okay, so Mohammed is in Lagos, in Nigeria, and is a hobbyist. Very cool. Larry is in Brooklyn and is a handyman. Very cool. Let's see here. Meme, is it Meme? Did I have your name right? From Georgia, but you're in DC now, and you're an employee advocate. Okay, got it. As an HR professional, recovering HR professional. I love it. Okay, cool. Chansa is in Toronto and works for a tech company. Very cool. Demetrius, hello, welcome. Tell us what city you're in and what your profession is as well. Mohammed, student in Washington, D.C. Jaquel is a executive director, filmmaker, producer, all of those things in LA. Got it. Tiffany is in Atlanta and a celebration arts director. Oh, interesting. I don't even know what that means. Celebration arts director. Austin is from San Diego. Oh my gosh, I love it. So I grew up in San Diego and LA. I had a parent in each city, so I went back and forth. So we've got a lot of Southern California folks here. Hello. Okay, awesome. Virgil is in New York City / Philly and is a dance instructor. Cool, you guys do really awesome stuff. Okay. Ricky is in Atlanta and is a UI visual designer. Is that right? Yes, designer. Got it. Cool. Okay. Introduce yourself like everyone else is doing into the chat. We've got this awkward setup because you can see me, but I can't see you. So it's helpful if I know who you are and you introduce yourself into the chat, because this workshop that we're going to do today, it's actually going to be really different from any other of the workshops that I've done before, in that I'm going to spend a lot of time giving you guys feedback on your app ideas. So, of course, for me to give you feedback, it's helpful for me to know who you are. So please introduce yourself into the chat. And also, I'm very curious, how many of you guys have been to a workshop with me before? So I'm going to put a question into the chat area. And I'm curious, how many of you guys have been to one of my workshops before? Just curious kind of who's here and who's been to a workshop before. I'll give you a second to answer that question. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing like a 53% of people are saying yes. 40% are saying no. 40, okay, the numbers are moving around. I'll give you a second. But let me know if this is your first time attending one of the workshops with me, or you have been here before, you've been to one of the workshops that I put on before. Okay, looking like a nice split here. I'll give you another second to answer the question. Have you ever been to one of my workshops? And as you're doing that, just a couple pieces of housekeeping so we can get started. If for some reason our connection is bad, like you can't hear me or I cut out or something like that, can you guys see at the top there's a button that says reconnect? Do you see that? Does it say reconnect on your end? If for some reason we get disconnected, please click that button. It'll refresh and it'll usually just fix the issue. But if you still are having issues still after that, let me know into the chat and I'll see if there's something I can do. Like you can't hear me or see me or something like that, right? And then also if somebody else is stuck, let them know to click the reconnect button to try to refresh. Sometimes it just helps if we all help each other. Okay, all right. I'm going to show you the results too, how many guys have been to one of my workshops before. It's about split, although there's a slight majority of people who have. Very cool. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen right now and let me know, sometimes it takes a second. Let me know when you can see my screen, full screen, and then we can get rocking and rolling. Let me know when you can see my screen, full screen. Because obviously, we're here to get you some feedback. Hi, Tasha. We're here to get you some feedback on your app idea so that you have a sense of where the heck you need to go next, so that you have a marketing plan in place, all of those things. So specifically what we're going to be talking about today is how to build your own app. First of all, duh. That's critical in order to market it or get feedback on it or any of those things. We have to figure out how to build it. 2, how to implement a smart marketing strategy for that app. And then also, I'm going to be giving you feedback on your app idea. So that's also going to be a really big piece of what we talk about. So let's see. Most people can see it, it sounds like. Okay, you can see my screen. Good. Awesome. Let me know if for some reason you can't see. Okay, so I want to welcome you. I'm super excited to have you here. I'm really excited because this is my first time doing a workshop like this and giving this kind of feedback one by one to people. So I got a chance to talk to a lot of you guys and get a sense of why you decided to come to this workshop. Why? And so a lot of you guys told me, some of you guys are working 9-to-5 jobs now, but you're hoping that in 2019, you can take some control of your own earning potential. Meaning that like your job says that this is how much you get to make, and they decided that what your salary was. But like, who says that they get to decide how much money you get to make this year? How come you can't make more than that? Right? So I know that a lot of you guys are really looking to take control over your own earning potential in 2019, right? That's why you're here. And for some of you guys, you are here because you don't want to be affected by things happening every day like layoffs, job layoffs, or government shutdowns. If you're in the US, you know that we've been having some issues around this lately, or just the economy changing. You don't want to be pulled every which direction. You want to actually have a plan and a backup plan for ways that you're going to be generating revenue moving forward. And let me know in the chat if this is, I'm mentioning something and that's the reason why you came here today, or this resonates with you and this is you, right? Now, some of you guys are here and you have been stalling on your app idea for weeks or months, or even for some of you guys, it's been years. Let me know in the chat if you've been working on this app idea or thinking about it for months or years. Some of you guys have been years, like a long time, like way too long. Let me know in the chat any of the years. I've had my app idea for years, folks, right? For some of you guys, you don't have an app idea yet, but you need help coming up with one. Like you're thinking about it, you're trying to get clarity on your app idea. We're going to be talking about that. And that's why you're here. And for some of you guys, other of you guys, you have an app idea already. You have an idea, but you're not sure exactly how it's going to make real income for you, right? Those are the things you're thinking about, right? Some of you guys here are already entrepreneurs. Like, so anybody here already an entrepreneur? Like you've been running a business already. This is not your first time at the entrepreneurship rodeo. Let me know in the chat. You have already started as an entrepreneur, but you're not quite as successful as you want to be. There's more that you want to do, right? And for a lot of you guys, almost everyone here, and this is one of the things that I think is really cool about kind of what connects us all, depending on all the different backgrounds that we have. All of you guys want to work less, travel more, and figure out how to do it on your own doggone terms, right? So some of you guys want to have like a side hustle, keep your existing job, but have some more money coming in on the side hustle. And other of you guys want to be entrepreneurs full time. Either way, we're going to be talking about this, right? How to work less, travel more, but do it on your own terms. Your own terms. So if any of these things resonate with you, if you know anything about what it's like to be in any of those positions, I want you to know that you are in the right place. I'm going to essentially hook you up today, and I'm going to be giving you a lot of feedback on your ideas, right? And specifically, I want to outline what my exact goals are for you for this class. So I really have like 3 goals for you. So my first goal for this particular masterclass is to show you a proven process, of course, to build your own app in 60 days. We got to get that out of the way first so that you know how to build the app. But also, my second goal for this class is to help you take your existing knowledge, stuff you already know, and turn it into a clear marketing strategy for yourself. Because once you build the app, you're going to have people sign up for it. And so we need to have a plan for how they can sign up for it, right? How we're going to find them, all those things. And then finally, I want to give you feedback on your app idea. A lot of you guys joined the Facebook group, the App Entrepreneur World Facebook group, and you typed in a little bit about what you're working on. And so what I did was I grabbed some of your comments, and I'm going to be giving you feedback live. If you did not get a chance to submit your comments for feedback, you will still have an opportunity to do that tonight. So that's okay. You'll still have an opportunity if I haven't already heard what you're working on. So because at least half of you guys have never met me before, I just want to quickly introduce myself. So that you know who I am and who the heck you're talking to, right? So my name is Tara Reed, and I am a tech entrepreneur. Before becoming an entrepreneur, I used to lead marketing initiatives at Google, Foursquare, and Microsoft. So my background is in technology, right? And This, in 2014, I founded a really successful art startup, and I built the company's app and algorithm without writing any code. And so what I'm going to be showing you today, we're going to be like sprinkling it in all throughout, but one of the things I'm going to be showing you is that this process of coming up with apps, with building them without any tech people, and then charging people to use the app. For me, in my first year, I used this process, my first year as an entrepreneur, and I used it to generate $150,000 in revenue and my first $300,000 from investors in my first year. So I've been really blessed to be featured in some awesome publications. Entrepreneur Magazine featured me in their Young Millionaires edition last year. Forbes has done some really fun articles on how to succeed in Silicon Valley when you don't look like Mark Zuckerberg. And also, I've done a really fun TED Talk. Some of you guys have seen this TED Talk already on building apps without code that has over 200,000 views. But I want to be super transparent in sharing that when I got started, when I sat down as an entrepreneur, wanted to become an entrepreneur, I didn't have all this press and success. It didn't happen overnight. When I started, I was working a comfortable 9-to-5 job. And I see a couple questions in the chat about like, can someone take my app idea? I actually want to share with you my experience about this topic and in this story really quickly before we jump into the meat of this, because I think it'll help you a lot in this workshop. So when I started, I was working a comfortable 9-to-5 job. I did not love my job. I also didn't hate it. It was just okay. And I actually didn't realize how much I was missing by not loving my job. I just thought that was normal. Like, yeah, I just got to pay the bills, right? And so at the time I was working at Microsoft, and I wanted to build my own app business though, right? Like not just be running a business for someone else or working for someone else, Bill Gates dreams. I wanted to actually be working on my own so that I would actually be working on my own dream, right? And specifically, I had a couple goals. I wanted to pay off my student loans. That was one of the big ones. I wanted to work less. I wanted to travel more, and I wanted to not have to worry about money all the time. Like that was my goal. And also, I wanted to have some sort of shot at being able to retire early. Like those were the things that were kind of like on my mind at the time. And so the problem was I kept hitting a bunch of roadblocks. I just want to check in. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I know there's a couple of people who are saying that they're not able to hear me. So I just want to check in and make sure that we are good to go before we move on. Can you hear me? Let me know. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Kiara says same goals. Okay, you can hear me. Okay, good. Perfect. All right. Let me know if something happens. All right. So as I was mentioning, I was hitting a bunch of roadblocks. I had an idea for an app, and I kept hitting roadblocks. The first roadblock that I was hitting was that I just simply did not have $20,000 sitting around to hire someone to build my app. Like I just didn't have that kind of money available. It just wasn't a thing, right? So that was the first roadblock I kept hitting. But the second roadblock I kept hitting was that I didn't have 1 to 2 years to just sit down and learn how to code before I could even start my business. Like I didn't have multiple years to wait. That wasn't really an option for me. I needed to get going immediately. And I couldn't find the right tech savvy business partner. This was another thing that was like really frustrating because I was going to meet with people, I was going to meetups, I was looking at my LinkedIn, but having enough trust in someone else to work on the business with me, like that was really intimidating, right? And so what ended up happening was I knew that if I took too long to build my app idea, someone else was gonna like launch it first, right? And this is like and at the time, I thought this was like a really bad thing that someone else would launch it first. I actually want to address this really quickly, given that this is the feedback workshop and given that we're going to be openly sharing information about each other's app ideas today. Because one of the things I learned actually is that there are, for some reason in tech, this only happens in tech. Like we think that there can only be one of something. But the reality is, like, imagine wanting to open up a hair salon and being like, I can't open up my hair salon because there's already a hair salon in Atlanta. Like it doesn't make any sense. There are plenty of people who need their hair done for there to be multiple hair salons. There just are, right? Or someone being like, I can't launch Pepsi because Coca-Cola already exists, There are a lot of people who want to buy soda. And so at the time, I really had this mindset, which was like, I can't tell anyone about my idea. And I didn't know that that was what was holding me back. Because the reality is that the way that you launch a company is by telling people about it. How else are you going to get customers, partners, people to help you, coaches, mentors, collaborators? You have to tell people about it in order to get all those things. But I had this mindset where I was like, I can't tell anyone about it. But the reality is that that's how you launch a business. And I really kind of was twisted about that. I was worried about someone else knowing about the idea. But the reality is, if it's a good idea, even if there's worst case scenario, if there are multiple people who run it, there's Uber and there's Lyft. There's Google and there's Microsoft. There's like so many, right? And so I really want to make sure that I share that with you, that learning about that you get more out of sharing your idea, getting coaching, getting help, getting customers. You get more from sharing it than you do from hiding it. Because when you hide it, nothing gets launched. And then you are back at square one, right? That's the funny thing about that. So I felt like, in doing all of this, I was really frustrated because I felt like it was taking me so long to get started. I didn't know at the time that one of the reasons it was taking so long to get started was because I was trying to keep it secret and I wasn't ready to tell people, right? I really should have just started telling people. But then in the middle of all of this, Microsoft laid off 80,000 people. So I was trying to launch my business. I was trying to get it going. And Microsoft laid off 80,000 people. And I was one of them. So I had no way to pay my bills. I ended up having to move to Detroit with my best friend because I didn't have a way to pay my bills. And I was super embarrassed. In fact, it took me over a month for me to actually tell my friends that I had lost my job. I was really embarrassed about that. Okay. So I decided one day, after having all these roadblocks, having all of these issues, I just decided. And the thing I decided was that I'm not going to be stuck anymore. That's just what I decided. I'm not going to be stuck anymore. And I taught myself how to build apps without code. How to build apps without code. That's the process I'm going to be talking to you about and teaching you about today. Well, so the first version of the app that I built, my first company, my first app, maybe my first $35,000 in sales in just a couple months, and got me my first $100,000 investment from 500 startups with the top tech accelerator in Silicon Valley. So I started blogging about my journey building apps without code, and I started coaching other entrepreneurs as well. Right? I coached an entrepreneur named Josh who had an idea for an app that was going to help schools teach music classes. And he now has 23 schools who have written him a check and said, here's some money. We want to be a customer. We want to use this in our school. And I coached another entrepreneur named Patrick who knew a lot about manufacturing companies and manufacturing plants. And he came up with an idea for an app that would help manufacturing companies become more efficient, like assembly lines. And who was his first customer? His first customer was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was his first customer. Coca says I had the same experience. I was laid off from Microsoft in January. Yeah, it happens, right? People can get laid off from their jobs and you need a plan B, right? And so I overall have helped entrepreneurs generate over $1 million in app launch revenue. It's been an amazing journey. So let me connect this back to you. How does this whole story, all this context, how the heck does this apply to you? Well, a couple ways. Number one, you also have an idea of becoming an entrepreneur. That's why you're here. Duh. You also, number two, cannot rely on a 9-to-5 job for all of your stability. You just can't. You can even see in the chat, right? People get laid off all the time. Your job can decide, downsize their team, reorganize, restructure at any point. And it doesn't even matter how good you are. That can happen at any point, right? You also are 100% qualified right now to build your own app idea. I'm going to show you that. And you also can take your existing passions and interests and expertise and just instantly turn them into an app business. Cool? You can do all those things. I'm going to walk you through that. All right. So let me just check in. Any questions before we move into stuff? I want to hear from you, though. Are you ready for me to start breaking this down? We're going to do two things here. First, I'm going to show you how to build an app without code. And the second thing I'm going to do is give you feedback on your app idea. So let me know in the chat if you are ready. If you are ready for me to break this down and talk about how to build an app without code. Britt says yes. Kenneth says, oh yeah, got it. Ready, exclamation points. LaDonna says ready. Hey, LaDonna. Dimitri says yes. Got it. Let me know in the chat if you are ready for me to break this down. Misty, is that, am I saying your name right? Misty says yes, I'm ready. Got it. Tiffany says Lego. I love it. Let's do this. Casey says, I love it. All right, let's get going. So again, we're going to do two things. Sean says I was born for this. I love it. So we're going to do two things, but in general, we're talking about how to build an app, implement a smart marketing strategy, and then I'm going to give you feedback, right? So specifically, here's how we're going to structure the rest of this session. So he says, let's get it popping. I love it. We're going to split this up into two parts. Part one, I'm going to show you how to build an app yourself without any tech people. That's the first thing we're going to do, right? Just so that you're clear on how you can do this yourself without having a ton of resources or money or any of those things. And then number two, I'm going to give you feedback on your app idea. Cool? Two parts to this. All right. So my first question, first thing I'm going to show you, first thing, is how to build an app yourself without any tech people. And there was a question in the chat, which is what if we've already developed an app and we're ready to go? So the next thing is to get people using it and paying you to use it, right? So we're going to be talking about that in a moment. I'll give you feedback on that in a second. So number one is how to build an app yourself without any tech people. So here's the thing, right? Most people think, and you can let me know in the chat if this is what you thought too, but most people think the first thing they need to do, as soon as they come up with an idea for an app, the first thing they need to do is hire an expensive agency to help them build the first version of their app. Let me know in the chat if that's what you thought you needed to do. You need to hire an agency and they were going to build it for you. Let me know in the chat if you've talked to an agency, maybe they told you how much it would cost, right? There's nothing wrong with taking this route. The only challenge is that on average, it costs about $20,000 for someone to build your app for you. And so Marcelo says, guilty. Got it. Yeah, it happens, right? But here's the challenge. It costs about $20,000 for someone to build their app for you. And I know for me, when I was getting started, I didn't have $20,000 just laying around, right? Somebody says, yes, I thought this was the way to go, but my frugal side felt that there was a better way. I love that. I love that. Kate says, I've talked to a bunch of agencies and they said 80K. Yeah, they're going to start at 20K and then it's going to go up from there, right? And somebody says, what if my app is not a tech app? So it doesn't matter, right? If you need an app built for you, that is how much it costs. It could be a tech app, or like if you think about it, Uber's not a tech company. They're a taxi company, right? But they still need an app. They still need technology, right? So this is one of the first things and hurdles that people run into, right? Now, other people say like, okay, I'm not going to hire an agency. Maybe I don't have money for that. But the first thing that I need to do is I need to find a tech-savvy business partner to help me before I can start. Let me know in the chat if you've been trying to find a tech-savvy business partner to help you with all the tech stuff, right? Raphael says, are prices still that high or have they fallen? No, those are the prices. It'll start at about 20K for someone to do great work for you, right? So here's the challenge, right? Here's the challenge, is that finding the right tech-savvy business partner can easily go wrong, because finding the right partner is like finding the right person to like marry. Right? If you guys are not on the same page, you have totally different goals, all those things, you guys can crash and burn the company very easily, right? So a lot of people are trying to find a tech-savvy business partner, but if you are not perfectly on the right same page with that person, you're in trouble, right? So don't rush that process is my advice to you. Don't rush that process. Now, finally, the other thing that I often hear people say is they're like, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to teach myself the basics of how to code in order to build an app. Anyone learning the basics of how to code right now? You're working on this and you're trying to learn how to code, let me know. Again, there's nothing wrong with taking this approach. The only challenge is it takes about a year for you to get proficient enough in building an app so that you can build the level of complexity of the app that you need. It takes like a year to do that, right? And I don't know about you, but I just didn't have a year to wait to get started. Right? And so what ends up happening for most people is that they completely put their app idea on the back burner. They're like, it's not possible. I'm not a tech person. I just can't do it right now. Right? This happens very often. And so what happens is they just leave it to someone else to launch the idea. They just leave it to someone else to build it. Right? But actually, you don't have to do any of those things that I just mentioned. You don't have to do any of them. Actually, you can create apps by using code-free software. Code-free software. let me tell you what I mean by code-free software. So code-free tools or code-free software lets you design apps by dragging, dropping, pointing, and clicking, just like you would design like a PowerPoint presentation. And then you logically tell the app what to do in English, not in some other coding language, but in English, which you already know, right? You already know English. So the way that it works is you design the app by drag, drop, point, click. You put everything on the page like you would design a PowerPoint, and then you logically tell the app what to do in English. Now, a logic sentence or a logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. The logic statement is the thing that tells the app what to do. Let me give you an example of a logic statement that you already understand. This is very easy. All right, here's an example. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall, right? Really simple. If this, then that. If I push the first domino, then the other dominoes will fall, right? Very simple, right? Let me give you another example that you already understand. If the user clicks the button, then log them in, right? Really easy. So my tip for you is to find logic-based software for your app. Logic-based software. There are a ton of logic-based software tools you can use to create your app. You don't have to use all of them. You don't. You only have to choose the best one or two that are right for your business. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to walk you through some examples of logic-based software tools you can use for your app. I'm going to start with some beginning ones, and then we'll get fancier along the way, and then I'm going to be giving you all feedback on your idea. Now, one thing I'm going to do really quickly, give me one moment. I'm going to refresh on my end because I know some of you guys can't hear me. And so I'm going to refresh. Give me one moment. I will be right back. Okay, let's see if this is better. Anyone get a better connection now if you were having trouble? Just refresh on my end. And let me know when you can see my screen again. Cool. My screen is small. A couple of people said Bubble and Zapier. Those are tools that you use, but there's a learning curve with those as well. Yeah, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you a range of different tools. Some of them will be fancier than others. I would say Bubble is one of the fancier ones. Right? Okay, Evan says much better. Good, I'm glad. I'm glad. Demetrius says, I want a one-on-one. Demetrius, we're going to talk about that. I'll talk about that when we get to the end of this workshop. There are a couple ways that we can make that happen where you can get direct access to me, but also I will give you some feedback today. Cool. Okay, so as I mentioned, I'm going to walk you through a bunch of different tools you can use to create your own app without writing any code. If you'd like, you can take notes, and the names of the tools that I'm going to show you are in the bottom corner. Okay? So the first tool I want to talk to you about is called Wix. Wix is the name of the tool. Now, most people think about Wix for creating websites. That's what they think of it for. However, you can also use Wix to create an app where people log in with their username and their password, and they enter the inside of the app. For example, you create a Yelp-like ratings and review system where people can rate what they thought about the Manhattan cocktail bar and give their opinion on it. Or you can create a flight booking system like you see on the screen, where people can put in their flight dates and their locations and a window seat versus an aisle seat and actually book a flight. So anything that you want to create where people can log in with their username and password, they can enter inside of would be a Wix, and you can build an app that way. Now, a second tool I want to show you that you can use to create your app is called AppSheet. AppSheet. And what AppSheet does is it allows you to take a spreadsheet of information and instantly turn it into an app. Anyone like Excel here? Anyone like Excel? Spreadsheets and stuff like that. You take a spreadsheet of information, you can show different locations and map the routes in between locations. So use GPS functionality. You can show images and grids of images that people can interact with. People can type things in and sign for things and enter data, etc. Right? So AppSheet allows you to turn a spreadsheet and instantly turn it into an app. Right? Tariq says, oh my gosh, I love Excel. Right? You don't have to love Excel to use AppSheet, but it's one of the tools that you can use. Right? Now, another tool you can use to create your own app is called Mighty Networks. Now, Mighty Networks allows you to create your own social network app. So everyone gets their own profile. People can follow each other, like each other, etc. There's a feed of information and posts where people are posting. People can poll each other, comment on each other's posts, all sorts of stuff like this. And your social network ends up being in the iPhone or Android store, right? Or available on web. So Mighty Networks is a tool you can use to create your own social network app. ShareTribe is another really cool tool you can use. Now, ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. Now, what do I mean by marketplace? A marketplace is a place where people can buy and sell things from each other. That's what a marketplace app is. So think like Airbnb is a marketplace app. People are renting, people are buying, and they can exchange, right? So you can see kind of in the corner an example of how this works. There's a grid of all the different things people can interact with. They can book things from each other. They can sell things back and forth. So ShareTribe allows you to create your own marketplace app. Thinkific allows you to create your own education app. So if your app needs to have videos and lessons and tutorials and quizzes and audios, things like that, you can use Thinkific to create your own education app, right, to walk people through lessons and education things. Motion AI allows you to create your own artificial intelligence chatbot without writing any code. And Stencil allows you to create video games without writing any code. And these video games can be on iPhone, Android, or on the web, right? Here's an example of a video game that was created by someone just like me and you who had a cool idea for a video game, but absolutely no idea how to code, right? So you can use Stencil to create your own video game apps, right? And so what I'd like to do is just take a pause for a moment and welcome you to the future, because myself and also a lot of other people in this industry, what we now know is that by 2025, most software won't be made by coders, but instead by people from diverse backgrounds using logic, right? Because in order to create apps now, you no longer need to be a software developer or use HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Perl, PHP, Python, any of those coding languages. In fact, you don't even need to write a single line of code anymore in order to create an app. So again, I'd like to welcome you to the future where your app idea is actually very easy to build, very obtainable to build, because there are tools out there for you to use, right? Some of the tools are easy, some of them are more advanced, but there's a range of tools that are out there right now for you to use to create your app. So you might be thinking like, well, wait a minute, I don't know if I have time to create my own app. Like, I don't even know if that's an option for me. I don't have time to do that kind of thing, right? So I want to show you something. I want to introduce you to Charisse Murphy. Charisse is an entrepreneur that I have had the pleasure of coaching. Now, Charisse is an author. That's her profession, right? And I love authors, absolutely nothing against authors, but authors are not necessarily known for being the world's most best sophisticated app builders, right? But Tamar had a question. Are we going to talk about Instagram marketing? Yes. Give me one moment. I want you to know how to create the app first so that you can actually do marketing for it. If you don't know how to create the app, then you can't do any marketing, right? So just want to share really quickly. Charisse is an author. She built an online social platform for sci-fi and comic fans, right? And so what she did was she built this app. She had a marketing strategy for it, and her marketing strategy actually got picked up by this TV show called Planet of the Apps. It has Gary Vaynerchuk, Jessica Alba, Gwyneth Paltrow, Will.i.am, etc. And it works kind of like Shark Tank. And so Charisse says, I got a professional developer and I spent 9 months and almost $9,000 to get practically nothing. After using Tara's Apps Without Code system, within 2 hours, I had built the first model of my app myself. 2 hours. So from 9 months of struggling, trying to hire people to build their app for her, to 2 hours building the app herself. Big difference, right? So reality check, if you're thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do, it's going to take a lot of time to build an app. It does not take much time if you use a proven system, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about, just to get us all on the same page of how to build an app yourself without any tech people. Cool. Okay, now we're gonna next move over to the second part of this workshop. And the second part of this workshop, I'm gonna be giving you feedback on your app idea. Now, some of the people, and I want to address Tamar's question about marketing and Instagram marketing specifically. So some of the questions that you guys had or feedback, I'm going to show you some specific Instagram specific marketing strategies that you can use. So I'm going to package that into the feedback I'm going to be giving you along the way. Well, I'm going to give you my favorite #1 Instagram marketing strategy that you're going to love. Okay, so I want to bring up the first piece of feedback, or first person that has an app idea who is here in the class, Mecca. And by the way, I'm grabbing all of these pieces of feedback or questions that you guys have because you put it into the Facebook group. Now, Kiara, you had a good question. You said, can I just drop my idea into the chat? Yes. Give me a couple minutes. I'm going to go through a couple examples of people who pre-submitted some questions and things that they wanted. But in a minute after that, I'm going to ask everyone in the chat to drop some of their information about their idea so I can give you live feedback if I did not get to you or if you did not get a chance to post in the Facebook group. So let me just talk about a couple examples. And what I want you to do is, even if I'm not talking about your specific app, there's a ton that you can learn out of me giving feedback specifically to a person's business. There's a bunch of stuff that will apply to your business too. And so I want you to hear for the nuggets and things you can apply to your own business. Cool. All right. So this first comment is from Mecca. And Mecca says, my app is called Plan B. It is an app for the entertainment and nightlife industry. So for example, bouncers, barbacks, bartenders, baristas, etc., busboys. And it's going to require a database where businesses can get last-minute replacements, so temporary workers. So for example, if someone needs to, can't come to their shift, they need a backup plan, right? And so I want it to kind of be like Uber for employees in the industry. And once we launch, we can use this model and add different job markets, right? So I want to give my #1 piece of advice for Mecca. This is a great idea. I love this idea. I just want to give one piece of advice here, one piece of feedback. And that feedback I have is that you want to choose, and this is for everyone, you want to choose a specific customer to go after. So I hear right now that like this is going to be for entertainment, nightlife. There's all these different kinds of roles that can be used. There's a lot here. And one of the biggest things that's going to hold you back from launching your app idea is by having too much on the table. Like you're trying to do too much at once, right? That's the biggest thing. And if we take a look at some of our favorite tech companies, if you look at how they started, they actually started really simply. So I'll give you an example. Let's look at Facebook. When Facebook now, everybody and their mama uses Facebook, right? Facebook is just all over the place. It's global, it's international. But if you look at how Facebook started, they started as just for Harvard students. One school, there were a total population of 4,000 people who could use that app, right? If you also look at Uber, they started in one city in one specific use case. So my advice to you, Mecca, is to choose one specific customer to go after. And what I mean by this is to make it only for bouncers or only for busboys. And then what you can do afterwards is you can send an email to all of your customers and say, thank you so much for being an amazing, loyal customer. I just want you to know that we're now expanding. Not only are we for bouncers, we're now for busboys, or we're now for bottle service reps. And you can add on as you go, expand and grow. But when you first launch, pick one thing. Anyone think they can apply that to their own business? What's the one thing, the one focus, the one type of customer you can focus on? Don't try to do it all at once. You want to go through one and then gradually grow after that. Cool. Okay, now the second piece of feedback I want to give is the second person. Okay, I see a lot of people are saying, yes, I think I can apply that. Let me know, by the way, in the chat, if you can apply that for yourself. If you can figure out who the one type of customer is that you can go after. Tell me who that one type of customer is into the chat. And I want to encourage you to be overly specific. Be very specific about who it is. Let me know in the chat who you're going to go after as your specific target. And if you already know, that's fine. Just let me know in the chat. But who can you go after specifically as your specific target? Okay, so the next feedback request I have, and again, these are feedback requests that came specifically from Facebook. After this, I'm going to ask all of you guys to share some information if you want feedback as well. So it'll be your turn in a moment. Oh, I see lots of cool specific folks, real estate agents, college sophomores, parents, got it, realtors, nursing staff, exactly. You want Michigan residents. I would get even more specific than Michigan residents, Tasha. For example, Michigan residents who own a house or Michigan residents who rent in a particular neighborhood. Get very specific. Cool. Awesome. Underrepresented founder-led businesses with less than 50 employees. I would even go less than 50. There's a lot that happens for a company between 3 employees and 50 employees. It's actually totally different stages of the business. So we get even more narrow, right? Okay, so let's move on to the second person who wanted feedback. Angeli, am I saying her name right? So she said, I have an idea to create an app that would deliver high quality trading signals pertaining to the Forex futures market. It will be based on a particular concept that I personally use in my own trading on a daily basis. I have already checked it out, and there are no apps like this that are currently out there for Android. So I really feel like this needs to be done. I don't even know where to start. Okay, great. Here's where to start. If you have an idea, you're starting to form the idea, and the first place to start, and most people think, let me back up. Most people think the first place to start is to build the app. It's not. It's not. The first place you want to start is by seeing what customers are out there that would be interested. You want to start by talking to potential customers because they'll give you feedback and say, oh, I would love this, but if you could make these, and these edits to it, I definitely would pay you for it. And you can know that in advance without having to wait a long time as you're building it, maybe building some of the wrong things, right? So this is a great way to test the idea. You want to test it and talk to customers first. Now, to show you how to test your idea, I want to give you my favorite Instagram marketing strategy. And you can use this Instagram marketing strategy to implement now. Before you have even built the app, before you even know exactly what you're going to do with the app, you can use this Instagram marketing strategy right now. Even if you don't even have an Instagram account, you can use it to go create one and use it. So the thing you want to be thinking about is, how are you currently finding or planning to find your customers? That's the big question here, right? And we know that there's a lot of customers on social media. Finding customers on social media is pretty, they're out there. We know they're there. But one of the biggest rookie mistakes I see people make with their business and their marketing strategy is not bulk finding people who are desperately looking for your product or service. When I say bulk finding, I mean hundreds at a time. So sometimes what I'll see people do is they'll knock on doors, they'll talk to their friends, they'll go one by one at a time and talk to individual people who are potential customers. But that is not sustainable. You cannot talk to people one at a time for the entirety of your business. It's just not going to work. So one of the biggest mistakes, and I want to ask you, are you currently bulk finding people who are desperately in need of your product and service? Because this is a place you want to start. As soon as you have the app idea, the first thing is not to build it, it's to go start talking to people who are ready for it. So Instagram is one of the tools you can use to do that, to start generating revenue immediately, even before you've built the app, because you can pre-sell your app, right? So to start generating revenue immediately. So first of all, one of the things you need to know in order to understand this strategy is that right now on Instagram and on social media as a whole, there are people who are essentially waving their arms saying, I would be a good fit for what you're building. I want to use this. I want to try your app. They're essentially doing that. And the way that they're doing that is they're on Twitter and they're saying things like, I love art, or I'm frustrated because here's my problem, right? They're specifically talking on social media about how they have this problem that they need solved, right? The other thing that they're doing is they are following specific accounts that are related to the problem that you're going to solve for them. So if you have a real estate app, they're following Zillow and they're following all these different real estate related accounts, right? This is also true for you. Your customers are already following social media accounts, particularly on Instagram, that let us know that they are interested. They're probably going to be interested in what you're building, right? So the thing that you want to do, this tactic, and I just want to explain the tactic and then I'm going to show you exactly how to implement it on Instagram. But here's how the tactic works. Step one, you go find the people who are essentially out there waving their arms. And we know that they're waving their arms based on who they're following. So let me know in the chat, who do you think your customers are following? Like, what accounts are they following where you would say, I bet that the majority of the people who follow this account, they're going to be interested in what I'm doing. Give me some brainstorm in the chat. What kinds of accounts on social media might those be? And if there's a specific account you know, you can tell me that specific account. But where are your customers following where you can say the majority of the people who follow this account, the majority of the people who follow this account are going to be interested in what I'm doing? Sean says Whole Foods. Got it. Blavity. Got it. Got it. Open Table. What are the other accounts you think that they might be following? Pet Circle. Black Glove. Shadow and Act. Got it. So Patrice says Oprah. So here's what I would do on the Oprah example, right? Everybody and their mama is following Oprah. A lot of people follow Oprah. So Oprah is too broad. You want to go and find an account where you're pretty sure that almost everyone who follows this account is going to be interested in what you're doing. Almost everyone who follows that account. So Oprah is going to be a mixed bag, right? Cool. Hair vendors, Complex, Cora, got it. Got it. NGP Van, GameStop. Yes. Dr. Oz. Got it. Hoteliers. Got it. Yeah, the more specific you can get, the better. Lyft and Uber. Niche, yeah, niche, you want niche accounts. Niche accounts. If everybody is following them, that doesn't help you get closer to your audience, right? So this makes sense. You could probably take a moment and like jot down a bunch of accounts that people are following. Tinder, or even like an individual person who gives dating advice, because it can be individual people and brands too, not just companies, right? So here's how the strategy works. You first make a list of the companies that you think your customer is following, right? Then what you do is you can go to that account, right? You can go find that account on Instagram. You can click on the number of people that they're following, right? And it'll show you a list of all the people who follow that account. Those are your customers. They're right there in front of your face. Now, the strategy is that we're going to engage with those people who are following that account. We're going to engage with them from your account. So we're going to like some of their posts and we might follow them, for example, right? And the effect that you're going to create when you like those people's posts and you follow them is that they get out their phone one day and they say, oh, who is this? Or what is this company? And they click on the link and now they're on your Instagram page. So you've successfully targeted them, brought them to your page, and now they're looking at your page, right? That's the first step of the strategy. Then when they're looking at your page, you know how on Instagram there's a bio and you can put a link? So you want to put a link to your website right there in the bio. So when they come to your page, you're reading a little bit about your bio, about what you do, and they click on their page, and now they're on your website where you can capture them as a potential customer. So that's high level how the strategy goes. Now, I am not necessarily telling you that you should go spend hours and hours and hours clicking one by one on each of the people who follow these accounts and are good customers for you. So it would take a long time. So I want to introduce you to a software tool that I really love. It's called Pop Social. And Pop Social works like a software tool, but also there's people behind it. And what it does is it manages all of this process for you. It's a tool that you can use. And so what you do is when you sign up for Pop Social, you give them a list of all of the people who you think are the accounts, kind of like you're giving me the list of the accounts now. You give them the list of the accounts where you think your followers are, right? And what it does is Pop Social will, from your account, engage with those people who follow the account. It'll do it in your sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, you've got a bunch of new followers and a bunch of new people who've clicked on the link to your site every morning. You set it up once and you never touch it again. So Pop Social is a tool. It costs $50 a month. So you have to pay to use the tool. You can try it a trial first. And I want to show you, I started using Pop Social in 2017. And you can see exactly what happened to the growth of my brand all the way up in terms of people who are following and coming to my website when I started using it. So it makes a big difference. It's a one quick tool that you can use to implement for your marketing strategy. And it's a little bit more of an advanced tactic, but you can use it now before you even build the site. So I did this experiment for 3 months. I did a 3-month experiment where I tried using Pop Social to bring people, to target people, to bring them from Instagram to my Instagram page and to my site. In those 3 months, I had 2,500 people who clicked on my site. And again, I wasn't doing any work. I set it up once and I never touched it again. I just set it up once. That was it. So 2,500 people clicked to my site. 600 of those people signed up to be on the wait list of my app, right? I was able to convert about 25% of those people to be paying customers. So I ended up over the 3 months, right? Over the 3 months, I sold, there was like an 18% conversion rate in sales too. So over the 3 months, about $50, right? $50 a month. So 3 months, $150, 50, 50, and 50. So the test was 150 total. That's the total amount I spent on the whole marketing strategy. And I was trying to do this to figure out, is this something people are going to be interested in, right? So let me set aside $150 to test it. You don't have to do 150. You could do 1 month, by the way. And I made from it $5,000 of people who got on the wait list to use my app. So spent 150, made 5,000, right? Really great ROI. I think it's like a huge ROI. So for you, I think it's like a 300%, something like that ROI. So if you want to implement this tactic for yourself, first thing you need to do is identify your key accounts. Identify your key accounts, right? Who are those accounts where people are following? Your customers are there. Where are they? And then the second thing you want to do, you can do it one of two ways. If you want to do it the free way, you can manually start engaging with those potential customers. You can like their posts or follow them. Or you can use Growth Pup. And Growth Pup, actually, they just recently changed their name to Pop Social. So I'll put the name of it into the chat. Pop Social is their new name. Pop Social, or you can go to growthpup.com and it'll redirect you. And so you can do that to bring people to your site. Yeah, so Kate says, so you just had a landing page you directed them to? Yeah, that was it. A landing page. That was all. Right? So, Angela, I wanted to bring this up for you because this is a really cool tactic that you can use, because I know you're saying, I don't know where to start. The first place to start would be to make a list of people who are interested in Forex trading. What accounts are they following on Instagram? Then you can submit that list to Pop Social or Growth Pup, same company, and they will start bringing them to your website. So you can start getting people on your wait list immediately, not later, but immediately get people on your wait list. So I wanted to share that. I know I promised to share some cool Instagram marketing strategies. That's my favorite one that is super cheap and can make you a lot of money and also just give you a lot of confidence in your app idea because you already have a wait list of people. Right? Does that make sense? Cool. Okay. Let me get to one more person, and then I'm going to pause for a second and get some feedback and some ideas from you guys. And also I want to give all of you feedback as well. So Hodges says, I want to build a color coordination app and sell clothes. How do I start? What do I do? I want to build a color coordination app and to sell clothes through the app. Right? Great. So here's my one piece of feedback for you. I'm just kind of going through everyone and giving one clear piece of feedback. Right? Okay, says, thank you so much. Actually, you're Angelique. Got it. And these tips are great. Oh, I'm glad this is helpful. Cool. Okay. So I want to talk to you about my one piece of advice here because it's really going to help you. And let me pause for a second and answer questions. How did you approach the waitlist deposit? So essentially what I did was I said, here's how much the app costs to use. And we're going to be getting it launched on this date. I kind of made up a date when I was planning to launch it. And you'll be one of the first users of the app if you get in and reserve your seat now. It's kind of how that worked. Right. Cool. All right. Cool. Okay. So somebody says, I don't know where to look for people who want to report like sex traffickers, thieves, etc. So I think you want to go after like accounts that are talking a lot about sex trafficking, bringing this topic to light. Look at nonprofits. Look at organizations that they might be following and engaging with. Right. So, all right, I'm going to move on to the next piece of feedback I have. This is from Hodges. So Hodges says, I want to build a color coordination app and sell clothes. Sell clothes. So my tip for you is to get really clear on who your customer would be. Who your customer would be. So most people assume that their app needs to be free or 99 cents. Free or 99 cents. Anyone in here thinking that their app should be free or 99 cents? Maybe you're thinking it needs to be a monthly subscription or something like that, but you're thinking that your app needs to be something around that price point. My advice to you is not to do that. Do not make your app free or 99 cents. If you do that, you will be broke for the next few years. If you want to do the math of how many 99 cents you need in order to pay your bills, it's a lot. It's a lot, right? A lot of 99 cents. So reality check here, your app should not be free or 99 cents. Should not be free or 99 cents. So I want to give you one way that you can kind of reimagine the price that you might want to charge, right? I'm going to give you kind of a little tip and something to kind of shift your thinking on this. And Sean says, what about monthly subscription apps? You can absolutely apply what I'm talking about right now to monthly subscription apps. They're great as long as your monthly subscription is not 99 cents or is not $10, because you need a lot of $10 for that. So let me give you a way to reimagine your price, and this applies to monthly subscription apps or anything else, right? So my question for you is, who are the fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target? Who are the fast lane customers with disposable income that you can target? Let me break down what I mean by that, right? So all of your customers, anybody who you could potentially go after, they fit into one of the three categories, right? Some people are in the slow lane. These are customers where if you sit down with them and you talk to them and you explain to them why your app is important and how you can help, you do a lot of work there, they'll eventually get it. Eventually they'll come around, right? Those are people who are in the slow lane. Then you've got people on the sidewalk. This is my grandma. It does not matter just how many times that you ask her to use your app, she's not going to do it. And we all know people who are on the sidewalk, they're spending a lot of time, they're just not going to make a decision, right? And then you've got people who are in the fast lane. These are customers who are already ready to go. Yesterday, they were Googling, trying to figure out how to find a solution to their problem, and they were complaining to their friends about how they wish someone would just launch a company to help them, right? Those are people in the fast lane. Your goal is to go after customers who are in the fast lane and have disposable income, fast lane and disposable income. So let me give you an example of how that might play out, right? Let's say you have an idea for an app that helps you track groceries, right? You have an idea for an app that helps you track groceries, right? Well, you could go after the everyday person, or you go after the everyday person, but the challenge is that the everyday person is totally strapped for cash, right? So they're probably only going to pay you like $2 for the app, $1.99 for the app, maybe 99 cents. An alternative, though, would be to target a fast lane customer with disposable income. So, for example, you could target recent graduates of business school or law school. They're just finishing school and they're landing in a nice, cushy job, right? And you know that they regularly use Uber Eats to have food brought to them. And they spend $5 for every delivery, and they have no problem spending that $5 for every delivery. They're not even complaining about it, right? And they're using Instacart to have all their groceries delivered to them. And they're spending $150 a year getting their groceries delivered to them, right? They're totally fine with this. This is an example for this business idea of a fast lane customer who has some disposable income. So my question for you right now, and I want you to tell me in the chat, is who are the fast lane customers with disposable income for your business idea? Who are they? Fast lane, they're already looking for you. You don't have to explain to them why it's important. And they already know, they're already looking around. And they have disposable income. Let me know in the chat who your fast lane customers are with disposable income. Gina was saying, I want to go after older women and teens too. Great. Teens, I would argue, do not have very much disposable income. They're broke. So I think some of those other targets are probably where you want to focus and go after first, rather than teens first. Cool. Awesome. Casey says, is a technical way to automatically target these people? Well, one of the ways to automatically target those people is the Instagram strategy that I just showed you, right? But you first have to identify who they are. The fast lane customers with disposable income. Great. Cool. All right. Fast lane customers with disposable income. Great. So for hundreds, that's the first thing I would think about for your idea is who are the people who want a color coordination app and they've been complaining about it regularly and they're ready to pay you now for it. Who are those people? Because that's where you want to focus and start, right? Cool. I want to get my pay from, Hudge says I want to get my pay from the businesses in which I direct to your sites. Great. Well, then you need to completely turn the app idea around and make it from the perspective of the businesses. The customers are the businesses for you in your model, not the individuals who want to buy the clothes. They're the businesses specifically. And that kind of creates a totally different spin on your business, but it puts one on your business that will be profitable. If that makes sense. Cool. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to do a couple more things. I want to talk to you about one more thing, and then I'm going to open up and I want to hear about the ideas that you all are working on so that I can give you feedback on your idea. But I first want to just ask you a really quick question. I want to check in for a second. Is this helpful? Are you learning stuff? Like, I'm kind of going through different people's feedback and teaching you things along the way. But I just wanted to know if this is helpful and if you were learning stuff thus far. Just want to check in. Let me know. Let me know if this is helpful if you're learning stuff. Okay, cool. Sean says, yes, it is. Okay, good. William says, yes, ma'am. Okay, perfect. I'm glad. Donna says, yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Tariq says, cool. Yeah, I just want to point out for you the things you want to be thinking about first so that you can get started. Cool. Tariq says, oh my gosh, yes. I've definitely gotten taller. I love it. Cool. Good. I'm glad this is helpful. Okay, good. So here's what I want to do. Quick recap of what we've learned thus far. We talked about how to build an app without any tech people, right? It was the first thing that we talked about, right? That you can use these tools that are already out there to build your app. Even if it's a fancy app, for example, you can create like a virtual reality, augmented reality app. You can create algorithms, all sorts of really complicated things, right? The second thing we talked about was how to pick a specific customer focus. Do not go in here saying my app is for everyone. Do not. Your app is going to be for a specific customer to focus on. The third thing we talked about was this Instagram marketing strategy. This thing that you can specifically implement into your company now to start getting people on the wait list and see who's interested, right? We talked about your app should not be free or 99 cents. We talked about this. We talked about targeting fast lane customers with disposable income. And we're going to come back. I'm going to come back to talking about white labeling. We haven't talked about that yet. So I wanted to check in with you, though, and hear who here wants to take what they've learned and implement it in their own business. Like, you heard a couple nuggets of things that you actually want to implement, and you want to take what you've learned to the next level. Let me know in the chat if you want to take some of this stuff to the next level. Let me know. Andrew says, how much did you charge for the app you sold? $5K from the waiting list. So I have a rule. My rule is that I will not pursue app ideas that I cannot charge $50 a month or more for. $50 a month or more for. Now, that may mean that I need to find the right customer who's willing to pay that, or I need to focus the idea and get really specific and solve a bigger problem from a fast lane customer, right? But that's my focus. So it was a $50 a month product. Cool. Okay. So for those of you who want to take their idea to the next level, actually get going with this, I want to tell you about this opportunity. And the reason I want to tell you about this opportunity is because literally the doors are closing on it very soon. Very soon. So like in a week. And so the opportunity is to do this program I've put together. I'm really proud of it. It's called Apps Without Code Bootcamp. And what it is it's an opportunity for us to work together. So you kind of saw how it looks just from one Facebook post, how I can kind of help you and coach you and point you into the right direction. So we only have, an hour or so that we've been here now. But if you want to work with me for 2 months to actually work end to end on your idea, Apps Without Code Bootcamp is a really great opportunity for you to do that. There's a ton of stuff you're going to get. There's personalized coaching, video tutorials, all that stuff. Right? And there are a couple of people actually in the chat who already have signed up for bootcamp. I'm letting you know that the enrollment period is closing really soon. And so I want to walk you through how this program works so that if you want to work with me and you want to get going with your app idea, you can do that. So let me walk you through this, and then I'm going to come back and take individual questions about all of your individual app ideas. So here's a question. I want you to let me know the answer in the chat. What if you could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days? Type I'm in into the chat. You'd be in for that. If you could get my help and launch your app business in the next 60 days. Okay, type I'm in into the chat. You'd be in for that. Or what if you could have weekly access to your own startup coach? right? Like we could work together on this. You have your own startup coach so that when you're kind of veering a little bit too far off to the right, your coach can go left, and get you right on track, right? Type I'm in for the chat in the chat if you're in for it. Some of you guys are already in. We already are starting to work together, right? Or what if you could learn how to make your app a premium price point, like a $50 a month experience? So that way you would only need, here's the math, you would only need 170 signups to make $100,000 this year. 170 signups to make $100,000 this year, right? So Apps Without Code Bootcamp is all about helping you finally build this app idea that you have been stalling on. Some of you guys have had your app idea for months. Some of you guys have had your app idea for years. It is time to build this doggone thing. It's time to go, right? It's 2019. It's time to get going with this. And it's also about getting a high quality app without spending a ton of time or money or letting someone else take the idea and execute on it first because you didn't even take a stab at it, right? A lot of you guys are going to put yourself in that position if you don't get going. Right? So the enrollment period for my spring and summer classes is open right now. It is going to close a week from today. A week from today. And after that point, enrollment is going to be closed. It's going to be done. And we can talk, maybe we can talk at the very end of this year. I'm not sure if we're going to open it up again. But enrollment is going to close for my spring and summer. So I'm going to walk you through kind of what this program looks like so that you can get in there. Get in there. Okay, we can start working together. So here's the structure of how the program works. There's really kind of like 3 parts to the program. So the first part of the program is the course. This is where I put all the things I wish I knew when I was getting started, right? So there's step-by-step video lessons, tutorials, templates, app guides. I know some of you guys told me that you took a stab at building your own app on your own, but it was difficult. You hit some roadblocks. And so this will walk you through every single step along the way, right? Step by step. And you can see kind of here's what the inside of the course looks like. It walks you through all the different steps you need to take in the journey. And then when you click on each of the steps, it walks you through even more detail, every single thing you need to do to accomplish the marketing for your app, the building of your app, the figuring out of your business model, how you're going to price it, all of those things that we've been talking about, right? So that's the first part, is that you're going to get the course. And we split up the course into weekly themes. So on the first week, we're going to talk about pricing your app. Like, how much should you charge for this thing? Is it $10 a month? Is it $50 a month? Could you go after a company and make a company your customer and charge $1,000? Like, how do you actually do that, right? Then on week 2, we're going to start talking about finding your customers, because there are a lot of people who would love to use this, but how do you find the perfect customers that are right for what you are trying to build? On week 3, we're going to pre-sell your app. And we talked a little bit about this. We're going to get people on the wait list. We're going to get them in the door and paying you money first so that you know for sure that you're building the right things with their app. There's no guessing game then. You're able to get right in. Week 4, we're going to work on your website and brand. And then we're going to spend weeks 5, 7, 8 actually building the app. And there was a question in the chat that says, can we download the course and watch on planes, buses, or trains when we're traveling? Yeah, so there are a couple things you'll be able to do, but you'll be able to see the text version of the course, like if you're traveling. And then also there's videos that you can download as well. So that's part 1, the course. Part 2, because I mentioned there's 3 parts of this program. Part 2 is the community. So part 2 is where you get this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs to support you. Now, let me tell you why this is important. Why this is important. Can you guys, can you guys let me know, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me in the chat. You can? Okay, good. Cool. Your connection's okay? Okay. So you have this wolf pack of other successful entrepreneurs to support you. And here's the thing, right? Most of you guys are around people right now where all they know is 9-to-5 job. And they think you're kind of crazy for wanting to be an entrepreneur. Anyone have people around them like that where they just, all those people understand is what it's like to have a 9-to-5 job. That's all they get, right? One of the things that I find is very common with the entrepreneurs that I work with is one of the biggest things that instantly, it's like an instant fix for getting them success as an entrepreneur is just having them around other entrepreneurs. Because if you are only around people who have 9-to-5 jobs, it's hard for you to get inspired and get going and thinking like an entrepreneur, because you have to think very differently. If somebody says, yep, we call them family members, right? Like, you have to think very differently when you have to be successful at a 9-to-5 than you have to do as an entrepreneur. And sometimes that can throw you off your game, right? So here's an example of what someone posted in the community. Shara says, hey guys, I'm about 90% to my launchable MVP. How about you? I was thinking we could test out each other's apps in a working session before we go public to our audiences. Then we can troubleshoot real time. Maybe we could do it Sunday hackathon style, right? So this is what you get access to in the community. The third thing that you get access to is your own startup coach. And this is the part where we work together on your app idea. You got a chance to kind of see what it's like for me to take a piece of feedback from someone or like some information from someone and give them direct feedback to get them started. We'll be doing that directly for your app idea, so you get your own startup coach. Now, the way that you have your own startup coach is that we have class every week. We're going to work together. And what you're going to be able to do is ask questions. You can share your screen and say, hey, here's where I'm stuck. Can you please help me? Here's exactly the place where I got stuck. And so we can work together that way, right? So you get access to your own startup coach. Somebody said in the chat, we never talked about a software tool called Bubble. That is actually because I do not recommend any longer that you use Bubble to create your app. There are so many other tools for you to use that are way easier to learn and get you your app way faster, get you to the money way faster. So I actually don't recommend that you use Bubble. Someone was asking in the chat about that specific thing. Cool. So maybe fast forward a little bit. I want to show you some examples of folks who have done the bootcamp. And there's some folks who have just started who are in the chat. So Ashley is an entrepreneur who has done bootcamp. Ashley built an app for schools to hire athletic trainers. So if you have a basketball team or a football team, you have to have an athletic trainer on staff. And I see, hold on a second, I see a couple of questions about using a Bubble alternative. Yeah, if you saw, I walked through all those different tools, AppSheet, Mighty Networks, Shared Tribe, all those tools that I walked through before, those are the tools I recommend you use. Cool. Okay, so Ashley started with an idea. Literally all she had was just an idea. That's it. All she had an idea. Since doing boot camp, she had 50 customers. Has 50 customers. She's done $3,000 in revenue. And she did all of that in 60 days. 60 days, just from starting, from idea to building the app to actually get going in 60 days. Right? I know a lot of you guys are thinking like, well, wait a minute, am I ready yet to get going? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready yet to get going. I want you to know how much you can accomplish in a short period of time. So this is what Ashley's app looks like. It's called Safe Play. And if you run a school, you can log in, you can put information about when you need someone to come work for your game or how much the time is and all those sorts of things, right? And so, and it pairs you with an athletic trainer who can be there for your game. And so Ashley says, I personally cannot function successfully without structure, even if that means it will cost money. So from killing it in the gym with CrossFit to joining Apps Without Code Bootcamp, I personally do much better when I have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with. A set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with. I know I'm the same way. If I don't have a set plan to follow and an accountability group to check in with, I end up getting all torn every which way, right? So I want to share this with you and Ashley's success. I want to share one more example with you. This is Brittany. And Brittany built an app for pharmaceutical companies to report their drug side effects to the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration. So before doing bootcamp, Brittany had spent $30,000 trying to hire people to build her app. Right? But the problem was she still had no app and no customers. It was really frustrating for her. After doing bootcamp, she had a finished app. She had 2 large customers, but for her, these are $10,000 contracts, meaning each customer pays her $10,000 at a time to use her app, right? So that's the structure of the program. Part 1 is the course, the video lessons, tutorials, templates, guides. Part 2 is the community, this wolf pack of other entrepreneurs to support you. And part 3 is that you get your own startup coach. Get your own startup coach. So Bootcamp is really good for a lot of different types of people. It's really good if you're a working professional and you're getting kind of antsy and you're feeling tired having your income limited by your 9-to-5 job. Like, who says that that's how much you get to make this year? You can make more than that if you want to. It also is really good for existing entrepreneurs. If you are already an entrepreneur and you want to add more tech savviness to your business. It's really good as well for busy parents who want to work part-time on a lucrative business so you can spend the rest of your time with your family enjoying your life. And it works really well for ambitious people, this is you, who are being stingy right now with your app idea. You're like, oh, I'm too scared to launch it. I don't know if I'm ready. It's time for you to bless the world with this great idea that you've been coming up with, right? So there's a couple reasons why people tell me they don't get started. Some people are scared it takes too much time. Some people are scared it's gonna take too much money. And some people are worried that it's gonna be too hard. Usually those are the three things I hear that people are concerned about. I don't know if I can do it, it's gonna be hard, all those things, right? And so here's the thing is that when you have a coach, it doesn't take too much time. You're able to get directly to the money with what you need. It doesn't take too much money, right? Because you're able to more efficiently do the right things that cost a lot cheaper. For example, that Instagram strategy that I showed you is super cheap for you to implement and gets you directly to the money with your customers. And it's not too hard because you have a coach who's helping you through the entire thing. So when you sign up for bootcamp, there's absolute code bootcamp. There's 52 video lessons, tutorials, templates, etc. There's also, you're gonna get 32 hours of live coaching with me. And you're also gonna get access to the private apps.code community. And Tariq says, can you drop links to some of your students' apps? I wanna see the finished product. Give me one moment, I'm gonna post it into the chat. You can see some examples in a moment. Cool. So, there's apps.code bootcamp. And for context, when I go out and do this training for folks, I go to Silicon Valley and I train startups. I usually start my pricing at $10,000. I'm not going to charge you $10,000. But when I work with other entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, I start my pricing at $10,000. So one of the things that I often hear people say is like, hey, Tara, you told me about bootcamp. I'm really interested actually in doing this. I want to do bootcamp, but I'm worried because I don't have a bunch of money to spend. I don't have a ton of money to spend on launching my idea. I'm kind of worried about that. Anyone find themselves in that boat where they're kind of worried about that? If you find yourself in this camp, I want to do something that's going to make your life a little bit easier. Just make your life a little bit easier. So when you invest in bootcamp today, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. So I recommend you use Wix.com in order to create your website. You don't have to use Wix.com, but I recommend you use Wix.com. And we can use it to create the page that will implement the Instagram marketing strategy for, so that when they click on your Instagram page, now they're on your site and they actually have a place to sign up, right? So I recommend you use Wix to do that. So when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. And so when you get immediate access to Wix, you can have your website up and running by tomorrow afternoon, right? So you have your website up and running tomorrow. You have to beg your marketing friends, please help me figure out how to do a website. You have to do any of that stuff. You're up and running, ready to go. And some of you guys have used Wix before, so you know that it's a great tool, right? You can also, by the way, use Wix depending on the kind of app you're building. You can also use Wix to create your app as well. So there's apps.code bootcamp, the videos, the tutorials, etc. Plus, I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. But another thing that people often say to me is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really interested in bootcamp. I really want to do it. But I'm kind of concerned because my app idea is complicated. Like I need to do really fancy stuff in my app and I'm kind of worried. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it, right? So anyone find themselves in that boat? Let me know if you're worried about the fancy stuff. Let me know in the chat that's something you're thinking about. If you are worried about the fancy stuff, I want to do one more thing that's just going to make your life easier. And when you invest in bootcamp today, I'm also going to give you access to my advanced app guide. So what that is the advanced app guide gives you the guide for doing all the fancy stuff. Integrating APIs, building sophisticated databases, all sorts of fancy stuff that you want to do. The advanced app guide walks you through how to do all the fancy stuff so that you're not Googling how to do fancy stuff and integrate an API into my app, right? Or you're not wasting $20,000, $30,000 trying to get people to build the app for you, right? You're not doing any of those things. You're just getting directly what you need with the advanced app guide. And for context, I personally used the advanced app guide to get my first $300,000 investment from investors, first $300,000. Josh, who I maybe have told you a little bit about, he has a really great story. He built an app for music to teach music classes. He made $30,000 in revenue using this guide. Patrick, who I told you about earlier, he built an app and Coca-Cola became his first customer. He used the advanced app guide to build his app. So the advanced app guide is literally money for you to do all the fancy stuff. It's your guide. So there's Apps.co Bootcamp. They're going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. Then there's the advanced app guide for doing all of the fancy stuff. Now, the last thing that I hear people say is they're like, hey, Tara, I'm really excited about bootcamp. I really want to do it. I've even heard about it before. But the problem is I'm not a salesperson and I'm not a marketer. So I don't know how to get people to sign up for my app or to actually do the marketing and sales part. I'm excited about building it, but I don't know how to do the sales and the marketing for the app. Anyone concerned about that? You're kind of thinking about the sales and marketing stuff. So if you find yourself in this boat, this is the last thing I want to talk about. When you invest in bootcamp today, I'm going to give you my 7-day email list builder. Now, what is the 7-day email list builder? The 7-day email list builder is a guide for you doing all of your email marketing. So what do you write in the subject line? What do you write in the email to new customers? How do you even find new customers' email addresses in the first doggone place? What do you say when they reply? Literally, I'll give you all of my templates that work for me, and you can just plug and play into your own business. So again, you're not Googling, you're not begging your marketing friends to be like writers for you and write great emails. You're not wasting a bunch of money on Facebook ads, which you should not be doing it. You're not doing any of that stuff. So there's Apps.co Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, and the 7-day email list builder for doing all the marketing stuff. So I have a question for you. And I want to let you know like why in the chat, the answer to this chat. If Apps.co Bootcamp helped you create an app business where you could charge $50 a month or more so that you would only need 170 customers to make $100,000 this year, would it be worth it? Or if you could build a wait list, an audience with a wait list of customers down the road, ready to go for you, would it be worth it? Let me know in the chat. Or if Apps.co Bootcamp gave you weekly access to your own startup coach, because watching videos and tutorials is great, but when you need a question answered or when there's something you need to know that you don't even know that you need to ask, having your own coach is totally worth it. Or if Apps.co Bootcamp helped you not waste $10,000, $20,000 on marketers, would it be worth it? Yes, because you would have a fully up and running business that was generating revenue for you. So, as you know, I'm opening enrollment for my spring and summer classes right now. Actually, enrollment is going to close in a week. It's going to close really soon. And I know a lot of you guys are wondering, like, well, wait a minute, how much does bootcamp cost? I don't know how much bootcamp costs. Sean says, Tara, this is billionaire information that has to have a Gucci bag price, but does it? I love that question. So a lot of people are wondering, like, how much does bootcamp cost? Wait a minute, how much is it? I don't even know if I can afford this. So for context, if you went and hired someone to build an app for you, it's going to be about starting at $20,000 and up, right? When I do this sort of training for folks, when I go out to Silicon Valley and I train companies, I start my pricing at $10,000. But I'm really proud to have put together this program for you where you and I can work together. You can get your own coach and work through all the details of launching your app, from marketing to branding to building the app itself. And the program is $1,900. Or you can split that up into 6 payments of $380 a month. So you have that choice, right? $1,900. Or you can do a payment plan, a monthly payment of $380 a month. Right? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to post the link into the chat for you to get signed up, and so you can check out more about the program. And I know some of you guys were asking how about other people who have done the program and you want to see what their experience was. If you click on the link, here's what the link looks like. If you go to the other thing you can do is go to join.appsco.code.com. So let me show you what it looks like. And I'll walk you through it on the page as well. And you can already, so I know some of you guys are already ready to go and you're ready to get enrolled now. So you can do that now as you guys are enrolling. But I want to walk you through what this looks like. So you scroll down to sign up. At the very bottom of the page, there's some videos and examples of alumni of the program walking you through their apps and giving you tours of them and explaining their story if you'd like to see those as well. Cool. So one last thing I want to tell you about, because I think you've heard this before. You've heard that the early bird gets the worm. You've heard this before? Oh, and let me back up for a second before I tell you about the early bird gets the worm. Clear promise for bootcamp. If you're wondering, like, wait a minute, what the heck am I going to do in bootcamp? How is this going to work? The bootcamp has 2 promises. So the first promise is that you're going to build the first version of your app. That's the first promise, right? Duh, we're going to work on your app. The second thing is that you're going to learn a clear process for getting your first 100 plus customers. 100 plus customers. So you've heard this phrase, the early bird gets the worm. I want to show you these 2 bonuses that I have for you. These bonuses for you right now. So if you sign up, I have 2 fast action bonuses. These bonuses expire at midnight tonight, midnight Pacific time, so 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. The first bonus is that when you pay in full, so I mentioned the price is $1,900, or you can split it up into 6 monthly payments of $380, right? But when you pay in full, you have a 10% discount on top of that. So it goes from $1,900 to like $1,710, right? With a 10% discount on top of that. Now, I want to be clear. Unfortunately, the discount only applies when you pay in full. It does not apply to the payment plan, but it does apply when you pay in full, right? So you have this 10% discount on top of it. So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, the 7-day emails builder for doing all the marketing stuff, plus when you pay in full this evening, you have a 10% discount on top of that. 10% discount on top. And I like to be super transparent about this. I have a refund guarantee. So if you do the work and you are not happy with the course after 7 days, I'm super happy to give you your money back. Super happy to. And you might be wondering, is 7 days enough for me to know if it's going to work? And the answer is yes, actually. What we're going to do in the first 2 days of bootcamp, we're going to do it on a weekend because bootcamp is structured for people who have 9-to-5 jobs or other things going on. So we're going to, as soon as you sign up, and Tariq actually asked about start date. As soon as you sign up, the next thing that you'll see is a screen that says, what dates do you want to start in, right? What dates do you want to start in? So you can set your own calendar. Once you choose the calendar date that you want to start on, we will spend the first 2 days working together, and you will have a total of like 16 hours of coaching with me in the first week. So if you're wondering, is 7 days enough? Yes, we're going to be hanging out a lot in that first week, getting all of the clarity for you going, getting you really clear, right? So I mentioned there's 2 fast action bonuses. I only told you about one. The first one is a 10% discount. The second one that expires tonight, so when you pay in full today, you're also going to get a 2-hour live session with me. So in this 2-hour live session, we're going to do a bunch of things, but mainly we're going to set up your app business plan. And for some of you guys who are asking, like, how can I work directly with you even more? This 2-hour live session is a really great way to do that. So during the 2-hour live session, we're going to be implementing the exact system that I use to launch apps, to get 200 plus people on the wait list, and to usually make about $10,000 in the first month as a result. So we're going to research your perfect customer profiles. Who's the right person for you to go after? We're going to determine how much you should charge them. Is it $50 a month, $100 a month, $1,000? What are the options? And we're also going to outline your email and social media marketing plan. Talk about exactly how to implement that Instagram strategy I talked to you about, right? So there's Apps Without Code Bootcamp. I'm going to pay for your website costs for 3 months. There's the advanced app guide for doing all the fancy stuff, the 7-day emails builder for doing all the marketing stuff, plus a 10% discount when you pay in full this evening, and also the live session with me when you pay in full this evening as well. Cool. All right, so you have the link to go get enrolled, and actually I see there's a handful of people who've already gotten enrolled. I'm super excited to be working with you. So Krista, super excited to be working with you. And Ebony, super excited to have you signed up as well. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Cool. Okay, Eric had a question. Oh, by the way, to get those bonuses and to get the 10% discount, you want to type in FAST10 when you sign up. So if you check this out, right here if you type in fast 10 and then you click away, give it a second, and it'll apply the 10% discount plus the 2-hour live session bonus with me. Now, unfortunately, if you do the payment plan, you do not get the 10% discount and the 2-hour live session with me. So if you want those things, you want to pay in full. Cool. Cool, awesome. So I want to open up to questions that you have. Questions that you have about your app idea, all those sorts of things that we'll talk about. Cool. Cool. Okay, so you can go to join.appster.co.com. And if some of you guys are already getting enrolled, if you've already enrolled in bootcamp, tell me why you decided to sign up. All right, so Kenneth says, I want to create an app called Beat Tutors, sorry. A student network, a social network that will allow people to want to learn how to record or produce music to be mentored by music producers. Amazing. Do a video chat with the producers, etc. Each music producer that signs up will create a profile. And so those who are interested in being tutored know and are aware of producers. Very cool. Amazing idea. Amazing idea. And here's what I would think about for your app idea, right? I want you to think about who is the person who's going to write you the check? Who's the person who's going to write you the check? Is it going to be the producers because you're bringing potential customers to them? Is it going to be the people who are looking to learn? Who's going to write you the check? And get very clear on that. I'm going to guess in your scenario, it's probably not the producers. It's probably going to be the individual people who want to learn, right? So then you want to ask yourself, who are the fast lane customers with disposable income? Because not everybody who wants to learn music production is going to be willing to pay you. And if you go after everyone, you're going to be chasing people for money, and you don't want that. So the first thing you want to think about, it's a great idea. I would love to help you build this. It's awesome. But the first thing you want to think about, and we'll work on this in boot camp. You don't have to know this before you start boot camp. We'll work on this together in those first 2 days. But we'll narrow down who your focused target customer is going to be. It's not going to be everyone who wants to learn. There's some specific types of people who are wanting to learn and have the budget to do something like that. So we'll talk about that, Kenneth. It's a great idea, though. I love it. Kiara says, is Kiara or Kiara? My app is called I Sound Like. It is an app aimed at artists who need help marketing their music. Cool. The app would analyze an artist's song, give them data about the songs they like, fans, etc. This could work for labels too. Yes, Kiara, this is awesome. If I were you, I would be going after the labels, or even small, or even doesn't have to be a huge label, but small labels and organizations. Why would I do that? Because most artists are broke. And so you don't want to be scrapping for trying to make the money from each individual artist. You could go work with a label and instantly have 10, 20, 30 artists as clients immediately just in one swoop. So if I were you, I would go after the labels. And what I would do is what's called white labeling the app. And that is where you take your logo off and you put their logo onto the app. So the label gets their own logo onto the app. They kind of get to take credit for it. But if you let them take credit for it, you get to charge a lot more for it. And I would be thinking something, at least, I wouldn't charge anything less than $3,000 one time to use the app. $3,000 up. But Kira, I think it's a great idea. I think you're sitting on a lot of money with that app idea. Great idea. Okay, Niman, am I saying your name right? Niman said, can you work on multiple apps as once in bootcamp? Is that an option to work on multiple apps at once? Great question. So here's my advice. My advice is that you work on one app at a time. However, you get lifetime access to the bootcamp. You're gonna have lifetime access. So what that means is you can go through bootcamp, you can complete your first app, you have a successful app that's running and working. Then you can come back and do the bootcamp process again for your second app idea. And because you have lifetime access, you don't have to pay anything additional to do that. I recommend you work on one at a time just so you can focus for your own sanity. But yes, you can use the bootcamp process for multiple apps. Does that make sense? Okay, next question. Trish says, my idea is a marketing beacon deployed by customers who visited your website. So the device becomes a beacon. I hope you understand the way I'm explaining it. My target customer would be companies needing a better way to advertise. and they would put the company name in front of people who are potentially all over the world. Can this be made without code? So I think so. Can you explain, though, to me what you mean by it'll be deployed by customers visited your website? What is it that gets deployed? I just want to get clear on that. Like, are you saying that, like, when somebody comes to your website, like a pop-up appears or something happens when they come to the website of that company? Is that what you mean? If so, then yes, we can totally build that. It's a cool idea. My advice to you would be to pick a specific vertical of company that you want to go after. Like, make this for marketing agencies, or make this for tech startups in the finance space. Like, get really specific about who you want to go after. That's not the only customer you can ever go after. You can gradually expand it. But I would pick one specific customer type to focus on, so you can create this effect where it's like, wow, you're in this industry and you don't use this Beacon app, you must be crazy, right? You want to create that effect and dominate that market space. Cool. Okay, so he says, I have 4 ideas and I need to get them out now. I love it. Let's do it. Let's get them going. And one of the things, too, if you have multiple app ideas, in our first 2 days of working together, I'm going to help you figure out the priority, like which ones you should focus on first. So we'll work through that and get you organized. Sean says, are those the only payment options? Yes, unfortunately, those are the only payment plan options that I have. There's 2. Okay, other questions. Misty says, I'm building an app where clients and customers can find and connect with vendors and merchants for a product or service in their area. I want to focus on minority-owned small businesses. How would I find them? Ooh, Misty, this is a great question. So the number one reason why it's hard to figure out where to find customers now is because you're too broad. So can you tell me a specific type of business that you want to go after? Like, I'm talking about restaurants in the DC area that you want to focus on. Get really specific. It doesn't have to be restaurants, but pick a specific type of business. Then I can help you figure out where they are. But when you're trying to go after all of the businesses, it becomes really hard to do marketing. You actually kind of shoot yourself in the foot when you're trying to boil the ocean. So tell me who specifically you want to go after, and then I can help you. Cool. Kiara says, nice, Kenneth. I'm a music producer. Oh, awesome. See, Kenneth, you already have a customer for your app right here. Awesome. Cool. Okay. Next questions. Tiffany says, I'm enrolling on Monday. Amazing. Tiffany, I'm excited to work with you. Just so that you know, you have the 10% discount on the 2-hour live session that you can sign up for now, right? After today, those bonuses are going to go away, but you have until Thursday of next week to make your final decision, Thursday. And that's when enrollment closes down for the whole season for spring and summer. Okay, awesome. A couple people said, I decided to sign up because I didn't want to give up a share of my company to an investor like way too early. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody says, I signed up because I see value in the program. I have an app idea that I've been tinkering with for months. This program is a heaven sent. I had no idea where to start at all. Oh, I'm so excited. Yes. Okay, cool. So, somebody says, I have an app for mobile canvassing app for political campaigns. Amazing idea. I think you have very clear that your customer is going to be the political campaign office. So my one piece of advice to you is to think of what is the title of the person who works at the political campaign office who would make a decision on something like this. Like, what's their job title? Because if you can, and it's okay if you're not positive, but write down like a couple job titles you think they might have. Because then we can go on LinkedIn and we can search people based on that job title, right? This is the same kind of advice I would give for Misty, who is trying to find businesses. If you pick a specific kind of business, then we can go look for owners of that kind of business on LinkedIn and specifically target them, right? Okay, Wallace had a question. Okay, so your app is designed to help financial or non-financial institutions like casinos, etc., investigate and report suspicious activities in real time. Very cool. How do I get my idea to my customers? What's your advice on that? Actually, Wallace, I would give you that same advice that I just gave those last 2 folks. So the first thing you want to do is figure out what's the title of the person who would make a decision on something like this. Actually, let me back up. Before you figure out the title, You gave me a list: casinos, check cashiers, lenders, money remitters, etc. Pick one of those. Just to start, pick one. And then think about what is the job title of the person at one of those companies who makes a decision on something like this. Because then you can go on LinkedIn and directly find them, right? And actually in bootcamp, one of the things you can do on LinkedIn is you can directly message each individual person, but that takes a long time to message each individual person. So one of the things you're going to learn on day 2 of bootcamp is this trick I have for actually getting the email addresses for like 100 people on LinkedIn who match your perfect target audience. And then we can just send them all an email at once, right? So just save you a ton of time. Okay. Gina says, I want to build a skincare app that helps you pick out skincare products based on questions. I can offer a sample of skincare products to different companies. Yeah, absolutely. So Gina, question for you. How are you thinking about making money? Like, who would your customer be? Who would your customer be? Andrea had a question. Is the course over? Oh, great question. Is the course over after 8 weeks? Is that the end of the live sessions or the self-paced option? How does that work? Okay, great question. So I realized that everyone has different learning styles, right? So some people like to do self-paced stuff. Some people like to have live classes where they can check in and have accountability. So you have 8 weeks of live classes as part of the core of the program. Then you also have lifetime access to the online self-paced version. So you can come back at any time and do that at your own pace. Now, after the 8 weeks, you will still have access to me. And the way that will work is that we have a weekly class for alumni of the program. It is only for alumni. And during that weekly class, people are in there, they've already launched a successful business, they're already got the business up and running, but there's still questions that come up, things that they want to get answered, right? And so you will have continued access after that to these live sessions that happen every week, of a weekly alumni session that you can get access to. Make sense? Does that answer your question? Cool. So I know that a lot of you guys are getting signed up right now. I see that John just got enrolled. Jessica just got enrolled. Matthew just got enrolled as well. So I'm super excited to be working with you guys. Awesome. Let me know in the chat why, if you just signed up, why you decided to sign up. Let me know in the chat why you decided. Cool. Okay. Next question. LaDonna says, I'm building an app for parents to find after school and summer programs for their kids. Amazing. And I think one of the questions you want to ask is, do I want to charge the parents? Do I want to charge the after school programs? Do I want to charge nonprofits that are responsible for making sure kids have places to go? Who do you want to charge? And who do you think will be most lucrative for you to charge? Cool. Okay. Sean says, I'm building an app for contractors to track workers on a site so you can see what the contractor or subcontractor is doing. Yes, I love these kind of app ideas, by the way, Sean. They are not the most sexy of app ideas. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm going to build an app that like everybody's going to use in the app store. It's for a specific type of customer, right? But the cool thing is that there are not a lot of there's not a lot of competition in this space. You're solving a real problem for people. So I love your plan, Sean. I think it's great. I actually don't even have any feedback for you. I just want to see you start building it. It's a great idea. Okay, next up, let's see. Next question. Heidi says, I paid a friend to develop an app, but because of the payment is no longer on Google or App Store, can you still work with someone like myself, and can I reactivate my app? Yes. So we'll talk about a couple different things, but one of the things, Heidi, that I want to make sure you do is that you have control over your own app. What do I mean by that? So I know you paid your friend to develop it, but once you get it out there into the App Store, which I'm happy to help you with, once you get it into the App Store, you're going to get feedback on it, right? And people are going to say oh, I love this part, but could you change this part? And I want you to not have to go and keep having to pay your friend every time you have to make changes, right? I don't know about you, but when I was starting, I didn't have the budget for that. So what I want to do are two things. One, I want to make sure you know how to make your own changes yourself, right? And 2, yes, I can help you get it reactivated on the App Store. And we can totally work together and then set up your marketing strategy and all your plans. So bootcamp would be really great for you, Heidi. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, next question. Okay, so there's some clarification. And somebody said, I can't see your name, that there's a social app where comedians can go on and upload and find, review open mics nationwide. I believe the target customer will be the venues that will be featured on the site. Okay, got it. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about this. If the customer is the venue is going to be the one who pays you. This is important because a lot of you guys get stuck in this. If the venue is going to be the one who pays you, then the first thing you need to do is think about what is the worry sentence that the venue has. And what I mean by worry sentence is like the complaint, the thing that the venue is concerned about. Because you have to build a solution for what the venue is concerned about, not for what the other end user is concerned about. The customer who's not paying you, you can't center the app exclusively around them. You have to center it around the one who's paying you. So I don't know your name who typed that in for the app. It's app idea. It's a cool idea for comedians. But my question for you is, what is the thing that the venues are concerned about? Because we have to build your app around that in order for them to see value in continuing to pay you. Cool. Okay. Somebody says, one of my ideas is to create a Yelp for public bathrooms. Very cool. I think what you want to look at, though, again, it's kind of like same trend here, is who is going to pay you to use this, right? I bet that if you look at particular areas, like let's say, for example, a theme park. Oh, wow. It's windy. I live in Chicago. It's really windy back there. A theme park, for example, has a lot of bathrooms and people need to navigate where the bathrooms are, right? So if you think about organizations, companies, big venues, big trade shows, car shows, things like that, where people need to know where the bathrooms are, conferences, that would be a really good target customer for you because people need to know how to navigate the bathrooms there, right? So that is one place for you to go, but I think you want to think about who is my target customer who's going to pay me for it. Okay, next up, somebody says, my business is called Last Minute Hair, where I act as a liaison for professionals in the beauty industry, connecting local beauty supplies to stylists so they can see what store has the product that they need, and then it gets delivered to them. Very cool. So in your model, my question for you too, and I think this is a really great, the kind of app that you're building is kind of like a matchmaking app, like a recommendation app. And by the way, you guys should know this. There are 5 different types of apps that you can be building. So everyone in this group is building one of these 5 different types of apps. Let me walk you through what the 5 different types of apps are. The first type of app is called a recommendation app. This is where you are recommending people to people or people to things, people to objects that they need. For example, Tinder is a recommendation app. It is recommending you to a date, right? You can also recommend people to beauty supplies or stores, etc., right? That's the first type. The second type of app that you could be building is called a buy from options app, a buy from options app. And this is where after the person is already signed up, so once they're in the app, the main thing that the app does is show them a bunch of different options that they can choose from, and they select one to buy. For example, Airbnb is a buy from options app, right? You got a bunch of different places that you can choose from and you choose. Or Kickstarter is a buy from options app. There's a bunch of different campaigns you can contribute to and you choose which one you want to contribute to, right? So that's the second kind, recommendation, buy from options. The third kind is a community app. So the main thing in your community is people are commenting on things, they're posting things, they're following each other, liking each other. Facebook is a community app. Twitter is a community app, etc., right? The fourth kind is an education app. Now, I don't mean that your app is in the education industry, meaning your customers or schools. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that the main thing that your app does is educate people on something, right? It educates people on something they need to do. And the fifth type of app that you could be building is called a progress tracking app. The fifth time you're tracking a progress or a process through something, right? So if you are tracking where all of the contractors are in their job, That's a progress tracking or a process tracking app, or what the assembly line process is looking like. This is done, this is not done, this is not done. Uber is a progress tracking app. The car is here, now it's there, now it picked you up, now you're there. It's just tracking a progress. That's all it's doing. So I'm curious, and you can let me know in the chat, which of those 5 types of apps are you building, closest to what you are building? Because it helps for you to know the type of app so that you can know kind of a roadmap for you to take. And actually what I do in bootcamp is you'll identify which of those 5 types of apps you're building. And then based on the 5 types, I have different videos and tutorials for you so that you know specifically which kind of app roadmap you need to take. Cool. Okay. So for this last minute hair idea, this is a recommendation app, it sounds like, although you could make it a buy from options app. That would be up to you. Okay, Tiffany says, my app is called Vouch. It's a dating app built for people to start relationships, refer to them from their actual friends. I love it. This is also a recommendation app, right? You're recommending people to each other. Great idea. Awesome. I would use it. Okay, cool. Kai says, I'm thinking about an app that will let people report abuse of kids to elderly people and to market the program to state agencies who need that type of information. Kai, great. I was just going to ask you who's the target customer who's going to pay for this, but I think that's spot on. Great idea. I would love to help you build that. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so eDay is a copyrighted mobile canvassing platform to conduct qualitative and quantitative research, right? Real-time information. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. So I think it's a great idea. It's amazing. And I think you're sitting on a lot of money with that. I would say that the type of app that you're building is probably a progress tracking app, and that you're tracking kind of all the research and insights of where people are in their affinity or likelihood to vote for someone, right? So progress tracking is the type of app that I'd say you're building. Cool. Okay. Yeah, and if you need help with getting enrolled or something happened or something like that in the process, just send me an email and I can respond right after the workshop. Cool. Okay, and I also see, let's see, let me refresh my screen. Naeem and Andrea are both got signed up for bootcamp. I'm super excited to work with you guys both. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up. Why you decided to sign up. I would love to hear. Okay, next question. Next question. Let me just keep scrolling through here. Okay. Tariq is building a budgeting app. So everyone needs a budget. However, a lot of people don't budget simply because it's not that enjoyable. What kind of app? What if there was an app that made budgeting simple and fun? I think that's awesome. So Tariq, I think the question for you is a couple of things, right? I would say that what's closest to what you're building is a progress tracking app. You're tracking the progress of your budget and how you're doing against that progress, right? That's how it goes. But one of the questions that I have for you is who is going to be your target customer, your fast lane customer with disposable income. For example, you could go after, I mentioned this as an example earlier, recent graduates of law school or business school, because they're just coming into a lot of money that they need to budget, but they have money in order to spend and pay with you. But they have this big dilemma where they need to make sure that they stay within their spending criteria and make sure that they're building savings and wealth for themselves. That's one place you could go. You could also find people who teach budgeting and financial wellness and go after them, like a financial planner or a financial advisor, and you could license it to them so they get to have their own logo on it and they get to use it for all of their clients. Right? So you have a couple different directions where you could go. It's a great idea though. I love it. And we'll talk in bootcamp about which of those ideas is the best one for you to start with, but at least that gives you some like ideas to swirl around in your head now. Great. Awesome. Okay. Next question up. And what I'm going to do too, just to make sure that you have it, is make sure that you have this link to jump into bootcamp. Let me put it in here again. You can also go to join.appsthatcode.com to get enrolled. Tonight at midnight is the deadline to get your 10% discount plus to get the 2-hour live session with me. And you can type in the code FAST10 in order to get that discount and that 2-hour live session with me. This is the last time this is going to be available. I often offer this discount for people who attend my live workshops. After this evening, it is gone. Do not email me about it, asking if you can still get it. The answer is no. The 10% discount, 2-hour live session. This is it. Okay. All right. Next question up. Next question. Okay. Chrissy says, do you have any suggestions on social media management tools? Do you use any? I actually don't use a lot of social media management tools now, but I have 2 that I recommend. One is the one I told you about earlier. It's called Pop Social. That one's for Instagram. And what they do is they find customers for you. The other one is called Meet Edgar. Meet Edgar. It's a funny name, but it's for scheduling your social media posts. And what I really like about Meet Edgar is that it can repeat posts for you. So for example, a lot of times people just don't see your post. If you only post it once and never post it again, then you have an issue. So Edgar does a nice like recycling of your content. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Next question. Missy says, will we still get one-on-one time with you if we can't pay up front? So to be clear, we do all of our coaching. I do all of my coaching in a group session. So when you sign up for the payment plan or group, you'll be in a small group where I will be talking one by one to each person, but inside of the larger group. If you want that 2-hour live session with me, though, you need to pay up. You need to pay in full, and that's the only way you can get that. If that answers your question. Okay, next question. Felicia says, is my app a marketplace app? Felicia, can you tell me a little bit more about your app and then re-ask that question so that I can get clarity for you? I need to know more about what you're building. Okay. Okay, my app idea would be more specific on the selling of secondhand goods, e-commerce. And I need ideas on how to implement this. Oh, great. Okay, good. Here's what I would do if I were trying to implement this. The first thing I would do is I would start to get some customers on the wait list before I even built the app. The way I would do that is I would pick a specific type of thing that people are selling, like clothes or shoes or like whatever it is. I would pick one specific type. Then I would go on Etsy and letgo.com and Craigslist, and I would search for the people who are posting secondhand goods. And I would message them and tell them about the cool app that I'm working on and bring them to just a very simple website where they could sign up for the wait list. That's specifically how I would get started on this. Now, if you want more details on how to implement this and you want some help actually implementing this, you want to jump into bootcamp and I can help you actually get that tactically done. If that makes sense. Cool. Great idea, though. All right. Next question. Sean says, let's partner up. We are ready. I love it. I would love to work with you, Sean. Let's do it. Okay. Next question. A lot of folks are loving the comedy app. LaDonna says mine will be a recommendation app. Yes. Awesome. So, okay, Faith says my app would be more specific on the selling and buying of, we already talked about this. We got it. Okay. Okay, and then a lot of you guys are building progress tracking, communities, recommendation apps, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Kenneth says, I really want to do bootcamp, but I may not be able to get the money by this week. When is the next enrollment after this one? So it's going to be several months until we open enrollment again, probably like late this year. So if you can wait that long, that's fine. But for most of you guys, a lot can happen in the app world in that long. So if you're able to get in, you want to get in now. If you want to, though, you can do the payment plan. So just make your first payment and get in immediately. Cool. Kyle says, can you have a combination of the types of apps? For example, my app is a community app that users check items off their bucket list and get badges and rewards. So Kyle, what you want to do if you're torn between two different types of apps, what you want to do is you want to think about what is the main thing that my app needs to do. For example, like what I mean by that is if I took away the other thing, would it be okay? Or if I took it away, would it completely deplete the whole purpose of the app? So Kyle, I think that the main thing of your app is the bucket list checklist, right? Getting rewards for things. I would say that that's probably a combination of you have a community app and a progress tracking app. But if you had to build just one, you would build a progress tracking app first and then later on add the community stuff. And a lot of times building an app, building a company in general is about taking the stuff, like the stuff off the table. Because there's always a million bajillion things that you could do right now. And it kind of gets overwhelming. Like there's all these different things that you need to do. You can do marketing now. You can build the app now, all these things. And so what you want to do is start clearing the path for yourself and saying, this is not important yet. This is not important yet. So I would say the progress tracking, Kyle, for you is most important now. And then the community stuff is secondary. That's how I would hierarchy them. Cool. Oh, Felicia says salon owners are my target market. Got it. Makes sense. Cool. Sean says, can we integrate our apps with QuickBooks, etc.? Yes, you can do an API connection with QuickBooks, and you would need to use that advanced app guide to learn how to do that, but I walk through exactly how to do that. Yes. Okay. Somebody says, what is the best way? Elle says, what is the best way to connect with election campaigns across the country? So I kind of answered this a little bit earlier. You want to think of what is the title of the person who makes decisions at the election campaign. What is their job title? And then you want to go on LinkedIn and you can search for people who have that job title. I bet you'll have about 100,000 results. And those are your customers right there that you can message. And again, you can message them one by one, but it's really time consuming. So in Bootcamp, I'm going to show you a way to get all of those people's email addresses in one click and then get them so that you can message them all at once. Great. Okay, next question. Julian says, I want to make an app that feels like it needs code because it seems complicated. I want to make an app that allows you to create a short GIF or video recipes, then post them in a Snapchat-like feed to share with others. Cool idea. So people make the quick video and they post it into a Snapchat-like feed, right? Totally doable. The only thing that's not doable, Julian, is to so they would record the video and then they can put it into the feed. If they want to if you wanted to have them put text and graphics on top of the video, that would be the part that would be hard. But you can take the core of your idea. Here's what I recommend you do. Take the core of your idea. You can absolutely build it without code. This is a community app, by the way. I think you know that. You can build it without code. Start generating money from it. And then if you want to build the second version and hire developers to build the second version, you can do that because you got enough money to do it, right? But from what you've told me, that's totally possible to do, Julian. It's not too difficult to do without code. Cool. Awesome. Okay, next question. So Karina says, what if we're trying to create a marketplace and an educational app all in one? So again, you may have two different focuses. My goal for you is to figure out what the main thing is so we can focus on that. So if you had to choose between the marketplace app and the education, which is the most important piece of what you're building? Cool. All right. There's a question, is this being recorded? Yeah. So what I'll do is if you give me until tomorrow, I can send you the replay, but it takes a while for the video to load. So give me until tomorrow. Okay. Carrie says, my app is a Yelp-like app for people with dietary restrictions. Ooh, this is great. I am gluten intolerant, so I know all about this. For people to review restaurants and dishes. That requires a login, self-categorization. I basically need an MVP that works for a city that I can scale it out. Also, I'd like for them to be able to follow reviewers they like. Not sure if that's an option in conjunction. Yes, absolutely. So you're building a community app. All of those things that you mentioned are totally possible to build, and I'll help you do that. Great. Cool idea, by the way. I would totally use that. And then Sean also is a totally different kind of app, but is focusing on gluten sensitivity as well, so I love that. Cool. Okay. Amira says, can the Pop Social trial help generate income to pay for bootcamp? Is there a way to pay for bootcamp after app sales? So unfortunately, I don't have a system set up where you pay me afterwards. The reason why is because I carve out a lot of time that I could be using running my other businesses to coach you and to work with you. And so I'm not able to really, really delay payment. I also hire a team of other coaches to support you even more. And what I do is I take a lot of the alumni of the program who have been successful and I pay them to help you as well. So I can't pay those people all up front without having you paying your tuition. It's not an option because it's not fair to them and all those other people who are there to support you. I actually would not recommend that you do the Pop Social trial to generate income, just because you need to have your page and your conversion system and your marketing system in place in order to make the most of the Pop Social trial. So you can use it, you can do it, but I think it'll be most effective if you have coaching through it. And so, Amira, I would recommend, if you can, to jump into the payment plan if you can. Okay, Trish was clarifying some things for me. So Trish says, to answer your question and try to clarify how the beacon works, what happens is the customer's device will have a cookie that makes their device a sort of beacon. So when other devices are near their phones, they'll get a pop-up because they're near you and your customer's phone. It's hard for you to explain. So I think some of that you're going to be able to do. So for example, if someone opens up the phone, you can show them like what's near them. You can totally do that. But they have to open up the app in order to initiate that first, right? They have to open up the app to initiate that first. And the cookies to track their device, doing it just from a cookie is hard to do without code, but there are a bunch of other ways that you can do it. Like if someone clicks a button, they can like opt into it in a couple different ways that we can gather their information to show them things. So it won't be directly with a cookie, but there are other ways that we can get at that same concept. It's a cool idea. Okay, awesome. Next question. Okay. Yeah, and if you had an issue with bootcamp sign up or you had a question about it, you can send me an email afterwards and we'll talk about it. I don't know who this is who said that they accidentally signed up twice. Yeah, so I can fix that for you. Just send me an email about it after this workshop. Cool. Okay. Sean said people need education and recommendation. I need both. Right. So I actually think, given what you've told me, that the main thing that your app does is recommendations. That's the main thing it does. Now, in giving them the recommendation, you are educating them. But when I say education, I mean the main thing that your app does is it has video lessons and quizzes and assignments. And I don't think that's what you're saying, Sean. I think the main thing is the recommendation. Okay. What do you think about a marketplace app for immigration agents and prospective clients to connect? I think it's really cool. I think you want to I would not market it as like anyone can join from either side and we'll match you. I would specifically go to find like immigration agents first and market it as a way to help them find clients. That's how I would structure it. So instead of you having to do double marketing for both sides, you would focus on one side first, lock in those customers, figure out what exactly kind of clients they want, and then go find the clients for them or do it vice versa. But that allows you to pick a place to focus and then focus on the other side. Because when you have a marketplace app, this is actually like common startup knowledge. It is really difficult. One of the hardest things you can do is to build a two-sided marketplace. So what you can do then is you can have one side that you focus on, get those customers on board first, then go get the other side. And it allows you to get started a lot easier. Okay, next question. These are great questions, guys. Okay, is it Mareko? I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right. Or correct me. I know you're signed up for bootcamp too. She said, my app idea is Food Pass. I want to target restaurants that are waiting or wanting to increase revenue and the number of customers that dine in at their restaurants by implementing a subscription service, gearing it towards the customers that are budget conscious when it comes to eating out. So by joining, customers become a part of the Food Pass community. They can share their experiences. Customer will be able to share, swap, etc. for their food credits. I think it's a great idea. Amazing. The only thing I'm questioning is if you want to target customers that are budget conscious as your first start, right? Your first start. You might have a more lucrative business and business setup if you target customers that are looking for like cool premium experiences. And think about this, right? Have you ever been to like a restaurant week or like where a city has like a bunch of cool restaurants that are selling things? If you have, you kind of know how this works, right? So it's not necessarily just for people who are only budget conscious. It's about the experience of getting to dine at these cool restaurants. You can bundle them in themes. I think it's a great idea. It's almost like having a restaurant week at any point in the city, right? I would just push back on only going after people who are budget conscious. If you really feel passionate about going after people who are budget conscious, one thing you can do is kind of what Tom's Shoes does, in that they say, okay, you buy shoes, and for every X number of shoes, we donate shoes to charity, right? So you could do something where it's not necessarily for budget conscious people, it's for these really amazing experienced restaurants, but for every number of people who do that experience, you give a discount to someone who's more budget conscious. So I love it. And what I love though about what you're doing is that you're bundling it into a subscription so that you have predictable revenue. I think it's a great idea. Cool. Okay. Next question. Okay. Oh, Sean says that's a different app. We have about 7 apps ready to go. Okay, Sean, you've got multiple ideas. I'm getting sorted through all your ideas. Okay, Ina, I-N-E, says, I have an idea for a planner app that is based off of your temperament, so you know your strengths and weaknesses and become more organized. Very cool. Who is your target customer? Can you tell me in the chat who this would be for? That'll help me kind of give you some guidance on it. Amazing. Sean says, we really need this, where we're going to find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. I love it, and I would love to work with you. Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, so Ina, give me some clarity on who your customer is. I just want to understand who you're going after. All right, so here's the deal. I want you to take a second before we wrap up and think of any questions that you have, questions about your company, questions about your app idea, questions about bootcamp, etc. Type them in. If I missed your question, please retype it. I want to make sure I get to everyone. And as you're doing that, I know a lot of you guys are getting enrolled. So who do I have enrolled? I've got John, Jessica, Matthew, Tevin, Ebony. Super excited to work with you guys. Let me know in the chat why you decided to sign up and we get to work together. I'm so excited. Okay. Jaquil says, I want a film festival app for the Haiti International Film Festival to watch films. Very cool. And I'm assuming that the film festival will be your customer, right? Awesome. Great. I just want you to know that you can sell this to multiple film festivals too. It doesn't just have to be for that one, right? Any film festival would be good for this. Cool. Okay. Gina says, to clarify, I'll be targeting customers interested in improving their skin or to improve certain skin conditions like acne, dry skin, etc. So they'll answer a series of questions or get a video chat. Got it. With a licensed esthetician. I'll offer a few samples based on the questions. Got it. Okay, great. The subscription is the ability to choose multiple samples in a month until they find their ultimate skincare routine. Got it. Very cool. Very cool. I love it. One thing I want you to think about though, Gina, is I don't really know how much you can charge someone for this. You can tell me in the chat if you have a sense of what you would charge. One other place for you to go, though, is to go after the estheticians as your customers, meaning that they get a really cool portal and an app that they can engage with their customers in. And instead of having every single one of their customers come in person, they now have an extension of their business where they have a digital part of their business, right? That you can charge them a lot for because it's growing their business, it's helping them. And I think that may be a cool way for you to go as well. Either way, it's an awesome idea. Okay, other questions, Trink says that an app that helps extended families stay connected and in the loop and know what each other is doing. I think it works, but I think you have a low willingness to pay on that one. I like the other idea that you have even more. What kind of app can inform people about health issues? You can build any kind of app that can inform people about health issues. And then you can go to a health organization, right? Nonprofits that are teaching people about health, doctors, etc. And you can license it to them so they get to put their own logo onto it, right? And take credit for it. And you can sell it for them. If you go to a doctor's office, for example, you could give them their own app and it'll be like $1,000 per person, starting at $1,000 per doctor's office. So I think it's a great idea and will be really lucrative for you. Cool. Awesome. Okay, so we're going to wrap up really soon. You have until midnight to get enrolled with that 10% discount and the 2-hour live session with me. If you have additional questions, please just send me an email. Let me know. Or I'll give you a couple more minutes. If you have more questions, please type them into the chat so I can get to everyone's question. So take a moment and ask yourself, what are the other questions that I have about bootcamp, about my app idea? Type them into the chat so I can get to them. Jermaine says, I want to build a progress tracking app that allows auto text track their pay. To auto text to track their pay. What is the actual day that the bootcamp starts? Okay, great. So what's going to happen is as soon as you, it looks like this. So as soon as you sign up here, right, as soon as you sign up, the next page for you to do is going to create an account, and it's going to give you a calendar. And you get to choose the date for when you want to sign up. So the next date to start is, I'm looking at my calendar now. The next date to start is in 2 or 3 weeks. So April 13th is the next day for you to start. But there's also other options too. So you can choose whatever works for your calendar. And so that's when bootcamp will start. Cool. So enrollment closes at midnight Pacific time. So if you're on Central time, that's really like 2 a.m. And if you're on Eastern time, it's 3 a.m. Right? But if you have questions, at a certain point, I'm going to go to bed. So I won't be around at 3 a.m. to answer your questions. So if you have a question now, ask it now. Okay. Calvin says, a GPS for truck drivers, letting them know about bridge speed limits, streets, truck routes, etc. Very cool idea. I love it. And also, you can offer this to trucking companies as well. Very cool. Cool. You guys have awesome ideas. I love this. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Last call for alcohol. For me to answer your question, give you feedback on your app idea. This has been so fun, and hopefully you learned a lot about how to get started. And now we can pick up from what you got and get going in bootcamp. Jermaine says, okay, great. I'm ready to commit. Yeah, let's do it, Jermaine. I'm excited to work with you. Sean says, how do we make money from that app? Sean, which app idea do you mean? The one you said we help homeless men, so an app to help them find resources fast. I think that there are a couple different ways that you could do that. Given that you are a nonprofit, you could probably do some fundraising for that. Like you could do like here's an idea. I have an idea. One idea you could do is you could allow people to like sponsor a homeless person. So that person, like if I were going to be a customer, I would pay a set amount to sponsor a homeless person through your app. And your app could take a piece of, like if I gave you $100, 20 of those dollars or 30 of those dollars would go to the operation of your business, and that rest of the money would go to sponsoring the homeless person getting resources fast. So that is one way that you could do it because you're a nonprofit. Cool. Other questions? Yeah, you're saying because homeless people don't really have money. Yeah, that's right. Erica says, is there an alternative to Bubble that you would suggest for building an Eventbrite type of app? So, Erica, I want to just understand what you're trying to build. What are the main things that someone needs to do in the app? Because my recommendation for you will change depending on like what the main things are they need to do. Can you kind of give me some more information about that real quick? Okay. Awesome. So Jermaine, excited to work with you. I know a lot of you guys are getting enrolled right now, so super excited and pumped to be working with you and building your app ideas with you. Okay, I'm going to give Erica a second to kind of clarify her Eventbrite app, and anyone else, last call to ask your questions, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay. Nothing? Okay, all right. So here's what we're going to do. If you have any remaining questions, or if I did not answer your question, I want you to send me an email. The easiest way to send me an email is just to reply to the last email I sent you. That's all you need to do. Reply to the last email, and that comes directly to me. Give me some hours to answer it, but just reply to the last email, and I'll get back to you. My email, I'll put it in the chat if you need it, is hera.reed@appsa.code.com, or you can just reply to the last email. Please email me and give me feedback. Tell me what you thought about this workshop. Or if you have a question that you need answered before you decide to sign up, you can ask me that too. Erica says, okay, I would like them to put in their event details in the app. The registrants will be able to put in today's date and see what events are taking place in their city. Oh, great. So you're building a community app. I recommend that you use Mighty Networks to build this. Mighty Networks will be much easier than Bubble. You'll be very happy about this. And we'll work through this in boot camp, so I'll show you exactly what features inside of Mighty Networks to use, but that's what I recommend you use. What category would proximity marketing app fall under? Can you tell me a little bit about what the proximity app needs to do? Like, explain to me how it would work so I can figure out what category you're in. Yeah, Erica, that's a really cool idea. Absolutely. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. If you did not get your question answered, we're going to wrap up right now. Send me an email and we will talk really soon. Have a great one. I know a lot of you guys are getting enrolled right now, so I'm super excited to see you on the other side of boot camp so we can get rolling. All right. Have a great evening. I hope you learned a ton and are feeling really energized and excited about getting this app idea going. It's 2019, so it's time to stop waiting on this. You've been dragging your feet for long enough. For a long time to get launched. Yeah, of course. You're welcome, Karina.